How do you get from I'm going the wrong way to I'm going the right way? How do you go from like I'm not good, I'm not upright, I need to follow God's way? Well, the answer is so the verse today is Psalm 25:4, which says, make me to know your ways, O Lord, teach me your paths. Let's start with the idea of how humbling and how humiliating it is to look at the path of your life, to look at the myriad options before you, to look at the person you could marry, the place you could work, the school you could attend, the job that you want, the opinions you hold, the political party that you support, the what you do to your body, what you eat, where you go, what you do with your money, what you do with your health, what you do with your time, all these things, to take them and subordinate them to someone else is humbling and humiliating. And the idea of, in this world today, saying, I am not wise enough to mark my own path. I am not smart enough to do it successfully. I don't know myself well enough to be able to pick the right direction. Therefore, I'm going to subordinate myself to someone else and say, tell me which way to go. That's very unique. That's very different. Even among Christians, even among believers, more often than not, what you hear is a Jesus that will save you and then bless whatever you want to do, right? It's I knew it was the right thing to do because it was so easy to do, or I knew it was the right thing to do because God, I felt it was the right thing. And what happens is you end up with a bunch of people who are following their heart, following their feelings, following their whatever they want to do, instead of following God, because they aren't actually submitting to teach me your paths. They're saying, bless whatever I feel like. So the idea of just saying, stop, show me which way you want me to go, and I'm not going to go otherwise, that's very unique. So I want to open up a little bit into Psalm 25 here and just kind of go through the first 10 verses together. It might be fun. That's a fun word to use. It might be fun. Let's have some fun in Psalm 25. In chat, in Jillikins in chat says, I don't know anyone else, but I found it such a relief to humble myself before Christ, especially when I first came to Christ and he transformed me, right? Ladgate says, Jillikins says, it was like, why I don't have to be like the world is, don't get me wrong, being Christ-like comes with its own challenges. Yes, obviously being Christ-like comes with its own challenges, but you can actually find a lot of peace in giving over your life. Depending on who you're giving over your life to, it'll allow you to have a sense of peace, because there's some people who can give up their life and just say, you know what, I don't really care, right? Do whatever you want with me. And that's sort of an abandonment to depression or to fear or to laziness or whatever. Just carry me along. And the other side of it is to say, I choose to subordinate to myself to this person, regardless of how difficult it is. Like, if, for example, military is someone who comes in voluntarily, at least in where we live, goes to military voluntarily and subordinates their will, subordinates themselves to the training, to the structure, to whoever their CO is, or what they're choosing to do that. And it's an exception in this world, but at the same time, it can be very freeing. It can let you finally discover who you are and what you're on the planet for. In Psalm 25, what you have is a person who is acknowledging the fact that they aren't the best commander of the ship that is their life. So it says this, verse 25:1, to you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Let me not be put to shame. Let not my enemies exult over me. Indeed, none who wait for you shall be put to shame. They shall be ashamed who are totally wantonly treacherous. So this is the introduction, is to say, you know what, God, I'm praying to you right now. I trust you. There are a lot of bad guys around me, but I trust that you know what you're doing, and I know that you will take care of me, and I know that you have a plan here. I'm going to wait for you. I'm going to believe that you're going to tell me what to do. I'm going to follow whatever that is. And those who do that, because I know those who do that will will walk upright, will walk in your ways. Your law, your word will guide them the right way. So I'm going to wait to see what you want, because I don't want to be like the ones who just wantonly treacherous, as in rebel from you and do what they feel like, because those are the ones who end up being ashamed and having to turn around eventually, or within in their choices. And we all know that the feeling that our emotions say do this. We get mad, or we get frustrated, or we get passionate, or we get amorous, shall we say, whatever the word is. We have a feeling and we want to do something about that feeling. And the choice in verse 3 is, okay, I will either wait on that feeling, discover what God wants me to do with it so I don't do anything shameful, or I will use wantonly, as in my emotions will drive my truck. My emotions will drive where I go, and that will lead me to treachery, or as in rebellion against God, which will end up making me ashamed in the end anyway. And so often today we're told to follow our feelings, to follow our emotions, to just whatever you feel like right now, that's right. Truth is irrelevant. Whatever you feel like is the right thing to do. It doesn't matter how it affects others, because whatever you want is the right thing. And that's exactly the opposite of what the Christian worldview says. What the Christian worldview says is, my heart's bent away from God. I want to sin. I want to be selfish. I want to hurt people. I'm a mess inside. So if I don't subordinate myself to God's will, if I don't wait for him, if I don't spend time listening to him, I'm going to end up ashamed. I'm going to end up a mess, right? So that's the beginning of the psalm, which gets into our verse, which says, make me to know your ways, O Lord, teach me your paths, lead me in your truth, and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation, for you I wait all the day long. So this is the prayer. This is the beginning of the prayer, where he says, help me, show me. In fact, the word make me, as in like do the thing, like use force, use influence, come over me, like take me over, do something to make me to know your ways, right? If I'm going the wrong way, bump me in the right direction. Make me know your ways, O Lord, teach me your paths. And that's implying, right, that there are many. If you look at the illustration today, you see that the idea that there are many paths, and there's one that's sort of the right golden one. It's I don't quite believe that that's how the will of God works, but the idea is to say that there are like a bazillion options before me. God, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Lead me, make me. You're my boss. You're my leader. You're my motivating force. You're the one who I want to do, because you saved me. Right? You're the one who saved me. You're the one who brings me out of the pit. You're the one who redeemed me from the mess I was in. You're the one who cleaned me up. You're the one who gave me the new clothes, gave me the hope, gave me the future, gave me a reason to live. You're the motivating factor. So I want to follow you, right? And I'm not going to move forward until I hear from you. That's the last line, that for you I wait all the day long. Again, today, waiting isn't super popular, right? In my family right now, we're talking about, cooking. We have to eat. Somebody has to cook. And the other day, I was sitting down. No, I was in the kitchen, and I start bringing out ingredients, right? I'm like, I bring out the potatoes, and I bring out the eggs, and I bring out the meat, and I bring out some veggies, and and one of my kids actually came around the corner and is like, "What are you doing?" Well, I'm like, well, it's dinner time. I'm making food. But they're like, yeah, what is all this? And I'm like, this is called ingredients, right? I'm assembling from raw ingredients a meal that will take time and effort, and then in the end will taste good, because it's so much easier to just go, well, I have a jar of this, and I have a handful of this. That's dinner. And then you wonder why you're not feeling well. But so the idea that aside is to say that a lot of people, children, everybody, we don't like waiting. We want it now. And so the question is, who will you wait for, right? Who do you wait for in your life? Who will you sit around waiting for? Who will you be like, Forget this. I'm out of here. And who will you sit around waiting for? Usually it's a person you care about, a person you respect, a person you desperately need to talk to, a person who you know has the answers, right? If you go to the doctor and you come and he's got test results and he says, okay, I'll be out at 9, and it's 10, 11, 12, you will sit there. You might not be happy about it, but you're going to sit there because you need to hear the test results. Or if you need to talk to your teacher because you don't understand something, you just can't process what it is, and they're like, okay, yeah, but I'm not going to be here for 2 hours. You will sit and you will wait for those 2 hours because they have the answer you're looking for, right? If you are perplexed or lost, or you're afraid and under attack, you will wait, you will hunker down, and you'll throw out the SOS, and you will wait to be saved. You wait for things that are valuable, wait for things that are meaningful, wait for things that are profitable, you wait for things that are going to affect you, that you find important. So he's saying in that last line, you're important. You're one of the people I will wait for all day long if necessary. And I won't go until you arrive. Next section says, remember your mercy, O Lord, and your steadfast love, for they have been from old. Remember not the sins of my youth or my transgressions. According to your steadfast love, remember me for the sake of your goodness, O Lord. So verse 6, remember your mercy, O Lord, and your steadfast love, for they have been from old. In other words, God... the reason I know this is true, the reason I can say, you are good, you're my savior, I need your help, I'm going to wait for you. The reason all that stuff I said before is because I know you, and I know your pattern, and I know your character, right? I know you're a merciful person. I know you're a merciful God. I know you are steadfast in love. And the reason I know that is because we've been telling your story in my nation for like, I don't know, 1,500 years, right? 2,000 years. We have been your people. Yeah, we've been messed up, and you continue to show mercy to us. You continue to be steadfast in love, even when we're all over the place. We know that's true. I know that's true. So you have proven your character to me, God. But then it turns to my character, right? Verse 7. However, my character is not great. You're merciful. You're consistent. You're steadfast, God. I'm not. I, from my youth, all the way up till now, have been messing up, have been transgressing your law. So what I want you to do is I want you to say, God, looking at me, please forget all the ways that I have disappointed you and I have broken your law and broken your heart. Go to that love that you have shown to so many, and please use that love for me. Show me the mercy that you've shown others. Show me the grace you've shown others. Show me give me the peace you've given to others. Not for my sake alone, but because it shows how good you are. Show your love in me to show others how good you are. Right? You'll hear that a lot in the Psalms. And finally, let's just finish with verses 8 to 10, which says, good and upright is the Lord, therefore he instructs sinners in the way. He leads the humble in what is right, and teaches the humble his way. All the paths of the Lord are steadfast love and faithfulness for those who keep his covenant and his testimonies. Okay, so what does it say? It says that when God talks, that what he says is good. In other words, I agree with what God says. It's not just my way or the highway, but when he tells us something to do, it ends up being good and it ends up being right. It's morally right and it's good for us. Therefore, because God is like that, he will actually take sinners who are going the wrong way, and if sinners follow that, they will come back and they will go into the good and upright and moral path that God is leading them on. He's willing to do that. He's willing to pull us off the wrong path, put us on the right path. But who does that happen for? How do you get from I'm going the wrong way to I'm going the right way? How do you go from like I'm not good, I'm not upright, I need to follow God's way? Well, the answer is those who are humble. He leads the humble in what is right. He teaches the humble his way. This is the rub. This is where the whole thing comes down. In your life today, you are given a myriad of choices. Sitting right now, you have a choice on what you're going to do with your feelings, what you're going to do with your decisions, what you're doing with your relationships, what you're going to do with your thought life. You have a decision as to what you're going to do with your gifts and talents, what you're going to do with your money. You have a choice of what you're going to do with your time, where you're going to give your attention, what you're going to plan, where you're going to put on the calendar. You have so many choices sitting there right now. You are, you're like kinetic energy. You are potential energy waiting to become kinetic energy. You are waiting. You are a ball of potential right now. And you have a choice to either go with your gut, go with your emotions, go with your feelings, go with your opinions, go with what you think is right, what you think is good, or go with what God says and humbly come under his will, his way, his path. A lot of times in your life, you're going to feel like something is right. You're going to feel like something is good. You're going to feel like something is true, and you're going to have a whole bunch of people that are going to agree with you. And you'll be like, everybody says this, and I feel it. Just because you feel it's right, just because you think it's right, just because a bunch of people say it's right, doesn't mean it is. The question is, does it line up with Scripture? Does it line up with what God says? Because if you follow your heart, there's a good way that you're going to go the wrong way. If you follow what God decrees, God's way, you won't be, as the first line says, ashamed. I think for me, when I think of this application, I think of the choices that I have every single day, right? We talked about this in the mentorship class, where there's no one to make us get up, do the job, practice the instrument, make the computer go, show up to stream. If I don't stream, there's nobody here to crack the whip to make me. Like it is on us to go forward and to move forward and to continue creating, because there's nobody making us do it. However, often my heart's lying to me. You're too tired to stream. You are too sick to do that. Today's not a good day. You're too depressed. You're too whatever, so my feelings are like, no, I'm not worth it. I don't have anything to say. I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. I owe myself something. I'll just spend the day, doing something else because, but God in his discipline says, I called you to this. This is the job I gave you. This is the ministry I gave you. These are the people I gave you. You're supposed to serve them, be consistent, and be obedient. That's not easy, but my feelings don't want to. So the question is, in that moment, do I trust my feelings, trust my thoughts, trust all the things that are rolling around inside my head that are saying I'm not good enough and I should quit and nobody will show up anyway and everything I say is useless and all these horrible thoughts that are going through my head? Or do I trust that when I show up and I obey and I just say, okay, I'll be here. I'll do the job you asked me to do. I'll have the call, and I'll open my mouth to talk about your word. God, do whatever you want with it. That he will, right? That he'll say, when you speak, my word will not return void. Is that true? So I'm going to, I'd love to hear some of your guys' story. If you look at the question of the day today, it's very much the question, when have you gone with your gut? When have you gone with your heart? When have you been led by your emotions and it completely blew up on you, right? Where you're like, I want to go this way. And you're like, I feel like I got to go that way, and it doesn't work. When did that happen? Let me close in prayer and we'll have that discussion. Exactly, says Jillykins. Thanks, Ninja. I've been pretty worked up about all the evil in the world today and injustice, and you should be. You should be upset about injustice. If it doesn't get you upset, there's something wrong with you. Yep, I prayed something similar because I don't want to do or say something that's wrong, go against God when it comes to this neighbor thing. Yeah, and that's sometimes it requires a lot of space, a lot of patience, and believe it or not, sometimes God asks you to simply suck it up. There are a lot of times when the God's call is to overlook, to just take the hit and keep moving. You don't get to feel a sense of justice. You don't get to feel a sense of right and wrong. It's unfair. You suck up the unfair because you're a gracious person, because God has given you a bigger shoulders, and you just take the unfair and you move on. Sometimes that's what God says, and sometimes that sucks. Totally. Pineapple says, that makes so much sense that we would need someone in charge, in authority. Work is such a problem for me right now that it's stressful for me. Newly appointed manager does not know the job, has never been a manager before. His manager is not really bothered, so we're a bit rudderless. There are so many things which need something doing. Like currently there's no way of knowing who is booking what leave off and if we're double booking because no one is recording it for the whole team. That's a great point. In that when humans are left to their own devices, we're not going to do the difficult things, right? We're not going to do who's going to keep the calendar and who's going to keep the chart and who's going to make the list and who's going to make the vegetables and who's going to make sure everybody's taking their vitamins and drinking a glass of water. If we're left to our own devices, we're just going to fall off the hill. We need someone in authority. This is how we're built, right? Churches need to have an elder, a pastor that people submit to, or a group of elders, right? The families need someone in charge. It's not it can't be a democracy, or it's not going to work, right? You need bosses in jobs. You need foremans or someone's going to get hurt. You need someone standing above in safety saying, you know what, don't do the dumb stuff, you're going to get hurt. We need that because in our laziness, in our foolishness, in our selfishness, in our arrogance, we don't do things that are good for us. We're going to get hurt. We need to stand under authority. DSW says, chasing some guy who really was not a good candidate for a healthy relationship. He was dreamy. Yeah, I hear you. Yep. Oh, now that's the answer to the question. Yep. That's a good one, because often we can lie ourselves into so many things where we're like, you know what? Because it feels right. And so you start to justify in your own head, this is why I want to do this, and this is the best thing for me, and this is the best thing for my family, and this is the best thing, like it's just nonstop. You're just going over and over and over, fooling yourself, believing your heart is just telling you this is the right thing to do. But somewhere inside of you, if you're a Christian, somewhere inside of you is this part of your heart that's like, actually, no, the Holy Spirit's nudging you in the wrong direction. You've got family members that are like, I don't think that's a good idea. You go to church and you start feeling convicted. And so you're like, okay, this isn't right. But you keep lying to yourself. That's just how we operate. So the question is, will you subordinate yourself and your feelings and say, actually, maybe my heart doesn't know what it's doing, and I need to say no to this thing that I desperately want? Or you go, I'm going to see where this goes, blow up part of your life, get stuck doing something even permanent, and you end up with great regret. Yeah, it's possible. Chovy says, when was the last time you followed your gut and it was absolutely wrong? Dragon fruit. Although it wasn't terribly. Dragon fruit's an interesting fruit because it's one that looks so bizarre, for one, and you don't know how to open the stupid thing. You don't know how to carve the stupid thing. When you open it up, you're like, this is not the right color. This is not what I expected. Why does it look like white with polka dots? And then you're like, how does it taste? What could it possibly taste like? And you're like, oh, it tastes like a melon. Okay, like it's just such a bizarre fruit. But at the same time, it's not powerful. It's not like there are certain fruits that you take a bite of, like a persimmon, right? You're like, I've never had a persimmon, then it blows your brains out. But I like dragon fruit, but it's one of those ones where I can have like 2 or 3, and I'm like, yeah, that's enough dragon fruit for this month. I'll come back later, Thank you so much for watching that video. I hope you found it inspirational, encouraging, funny, whatever it was. I hope you liked it. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to join in on the discussions, I'd love it if you came by the live stream sometime. If you want to learn more about me and what I'm doing to build an open, encouraging, and meaningful online family through gaming, real talk, and God's truth, please swing by my website, artofthechristianninja.com. You'll be able to see my vision video and all sorts of other things about it. Serving the online community is my full-time job, so if you like what you see and you believe in bringing God's love to the new frontier of global missions, please consider sponsoring me on Patreon. Again, thanks for watching. I hope to see you on stream or in the next video.